Hi, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Dennis, and I am with How Love Bites. And today I just wanted to begin something that I think you'll enjoy and hopefully give you a little bit of inspiration and a little bit of hope. Okay. And it's basically, let me start off with saying everyone out there, everybody, everyone has a story. Everyone has been through something that's changed them. So never, ever judge a person by the chapter you walked in on. Okay, then, let's begin. The aim of this session is to change your awareness, to rewire your emotional state, and to give you a new, fresh perspective on the situation you're dealing with right now. So, in order to do that, we want to fully remain present and focused on this experience. So, do whatever you need to do now to get into a relaxed and fully focused state. Perhaps you want to put a mat on the floor where you are, or a towel, or something light that you can stretch out, like kind of fully stretch out on. Or you can just sit on a chair and do it from your desk. Or you can do this walking around if you want to do this outside in the fresh air. Then feel free to do that as well. Just make sure that whatever you do, you're able to fully focus on the words being spoken, because that's where the magic is, and the thoughts going on in your mind. So now, just take a few deep breaths in. And as you're listening to these words, with each breath, just become more and more present, more and more attuned to what's going on in your body and in your mind. And if it's been stressful today already, I know that's hard and that's tough. Just allow yourself for this session to let go of that and to follow your mind wherever it takes you. So now we're ready. Let's ask a question. What does it really mean to go through a heartbreak? Heartbreak is a universal human experience, one which overtakes us when it happens, and perhaps no single person gets through their lives without having felt the sting of a heartbreak. At some point, your stomach turns over. Fear and despair wriggle and wiggle through your body in the moment of a breakup. Your panic signals are just terrible. They fire left, right. You really don't know which way they're going to go next. And then the long-term oil begins like a dark blanket, and it's stretched out all over the world. The colors of life seem to dull. Sound can become muted as we drift through our days aimlessly. Maybe at first on your couch, punch-drunk, blinded, Lord knows what you put in your body, wondering how you'll ever get through this experience, wondering how you'll get back to your old self again. And what's so insidious about heartbreak is that it takes away the essential thing that keeps us going. And that's hope. Hope for a brighter future. We feel helpless, powerless, etc. And we wonder if we'll ever feel the same highs, the same happiness, the same fulfillment and safety that we felt in that relationship. Because the person who we were with brought so much meaning to our lives, and now they're gone. It's like something's been cut out of our body out of our soul. And there's many familiar behaviors that go along with this despair. Perhaps after a heartbreak, you end up flicking through your phone, scanning through dozens of photos or old albums of you and your ex. Maybe you look at old text messages, love notes, emails, you name it. Perhaps you can't resist logging on and looking at their social media profiles every day, and your mind is frantically wondering, what are they doing right now? Could I just pick up the phone and hear their voice and feel like everything is normal just for 5 minutes? And you even ask yourself questions like, what if they've already moved on? But are they even thinking about me? Are they feeling the pain that I am in right now? Or are they just fine? And as you go through these days and weeks of heartbreak, it's common to feel your mood cycle through periods of anger, betrayal, fear, self-pity, and maybe even in quiet moments, you have a feeling of calm, where you feel like for a small window, you're able to just let things go and feel okay. But then that knot of panic and despair inevitably returns. And as you relive your relationship so many times in your mind, you keep searching for that turning point. Where did I screw up? What did I say wrong? Maybe I could have done things differently, completely different. And you wonder whether this breakup was destined to happen. Maybe there's some will that will turn the future, or if you said something else, or maybe behaved differently, then it wouldn't have fallen apart. Then take a step back, because these emotions make us feel out of control. And this session is about taking back control. And remember, all these feelings are completely normal. It's normal to ruminate in times of heartbreak. It's normal to relive moments of a relationship repeatedly. But what I want to tell you is something that perhaps your brain logically knows, but your heart hasn't allowed you to believe. And that is, there is life after this heartbreak. You will repair. You still have so much happiness, so much beauty, so much joy and experience of life on the other side of this pain. You're not broken. You might be bruised, but you have the power to heal your wounds. And when we have a breakup, we come to a crossroads. There's a point where we can say, we're stuck, where we can exasperate the pain, make it worse, and go on a negative spiral. Or we can take the right, small, simple steps, bandage ourselves up, and begin the work of a long-term healing. But we must make peace with one thing first, and that is that this is going to take time. Something we don't like to hear. This is a process, and perhaps you already feel like it's taken time to get to where you are now. Or maybe for you and your heartbreak it's very fresh and raw. But wherever you are, remember that all that matters is that you take the right actions. Today, we rebuild peace. Piece by piece. And if you do, I promise it will take so much less time if you do these simple steps instead of the behaviors that will only keep you stuck in the past. So there are going to be 3 steps in this session. Step 1 is going to be to stop prodding the relationship wound. Now, it's normal. If we lose something that's important to us, it leaves a bruise. It leaves a scar. It can feel like a physical assault on us. We can go through physical symptoms during a breakup, and we also know that with any wound, there are things we can do to make it a whole lot worse. In a breakup, this is certain behaviors, and, well, there are certain behaviors that reopen the pain again and again. It might be looking through old pictures of vacations and happy times with your ex. It might be going through endless text messages. It might be sleeping with someone new too soon, just to try to make yourself feel better again. Maybe it's texting, emailing your ex and pouring your heart out with emotional messages about how you're feeling, or just feeling like, if I could just talk to them on the phone for 5 minutes, then I'll be soothed for a moment. But all this does is reopen the wound again and again when we stalk them. There are social media pages. We open the wounds and we reopen them again as we look at their social media pages. If we continue to have the same conversations about our ex all the time with family and friends, and it never fails because there's always somebody that's asking and maybe isn't aware of your breakup. Oh, how's blank blank? Or what's going on? I thought you and blank blank would be married or together somewhere. We keep reopening wounds. Now, this isn't about denial or never speaking about how you feel. Those things are important. It's important to be able to express how you feel and process a breakup. But we must put a stop loss and decide at some point that we have enough of living in the past of this relationship. Now, this can feel extremely difficult at first, but it's the most foundational and worthwhile investment you're ever going to make. Nothing that follows will work if you are still there. Prolonging, prodding that relationship wound, not good. And if all you do after this session is chalk off on your calendar every day that you didn't speak to your ex, that you didn't check their social media profiles, that you didn't reach out in some way, you can count this as a success. This is you putting up the barrier, putting distance between you and the relationship. Now the next step is to redefine what this relationship meant. So, step 2 is going to be to reframe the story of your breakup. It's incredibly common to look at our ex-partners or old relationships with rose-tinted glasses. As some time passes, the struggles of stresses of the relationship fade, and all we do is compare our current state of affairs and how down we are now and how the relationship was at its best. We think about how we feel brokenhearted and lost. Now we think, God, I was so much happier 2 months ago, 4 months, 6 months, 8 months, a year ago when I was with them. Look how wonderful we were together. It's amazing. But this is not an objective view of reality. And that's why it's so important to take time to remind yourself of all the things that weren't right about this person for you. This isn't some exercise in negative thinking. It's a way of reminding yourself of the truth, warts and all, with no gloss of time to make you forget the things that brought you frustration about your ex. And you can, after this session, write down, ask yourself, what were some of the habits that really bugged you about your ex? Or was some of the behaviors that caused you pain or the dynamics that you didn't like in your relationship when in times there were conflicts that made you doubt your future together or some of their values that you disagreed with? Writing these things down is going to serve as a constant reference point for you as a reminder. They're going to keep you sober when you feel in that state of despair, when you feel like, I can never be happy without this person. It's going to remind you that there were costs to being in this relationship, but everything wasn't perfect. And if it was your ex who broke up with you, and your mind is saying, right now, but they were perfect. They were the right person for me, and they didn't want to be together anymore. Then you have something even more crucial that was lacking from this relationship, which is that they weren't willing to invest and choose. Remember that line, which is that they weren't willing to invest and choose you. They weren't willing to commit. They weren't willing to actually be present, to show up, be a teammate in building a future with you. If you had someone who didn't even want to be able to build to be a partner with you, that means they couldn't even be close to being the perfect person for you. So remember, one of two things is either true. Even though there were behaviors that made this person wrong for you, or there was the fact that they were incapable of being the right person for you because they weren't even committed to a future with you. And while you think about the costs of this relationship, it's also important to do the opposite and remind yourself of all the amazing things you can now enjoy and be and do because you have the freedom from this relationship. This time, this space to explore new areas of curiosity that weren't available to you while you were in this and with this person in this relationship. And that's going to bring us on to step 3, which is going to be to turn self-loathing into self-love. I love myself. That's the phrase. That's the affirmation. I love myself. Say it as many times during the day, the night, as you can. And you'll slowly start to notice things, energy will come to you. It will start to become part of you. People will notice. So right now you may feel like you've been in survival mode, like you're looking for alleged clings so that you don't have to free fall down a ravine of despair and self-pity. And you look up. You can see the light above you somewhere in the distance. But you don't know how to reach it yet. But what really makes the difference here is the tiny choices you make every single day. How we feel about our lives begins with our beliefs, and that begins with what we tell ourselves. And our beliefs are so affected by the actions we take, how we treat ourselves. So instead of losing direction now, or acting impulsively or numbing yourself with distractions like we know what those are: alcohol, drugs, junk food, super bad television. We can interrupt this pattern with some simple strategies. The first is going to be you want to introduce moments of joy back into your day. See, right now it's tempting when we're in a bad place. We think about just getting back to neutral. If I could just feel neutral again, okay, then I'll be all right. Then I'll manage. But it's also important that we think what will bring us to a higher place, what will elevate us, what will lift our mood, what's something that we can do that's an act of self-care. Whether it's getting a great meal or having a massage, doing something therapeutic, just going out the door and doing something for your body, maybe an activity, a sport, a hobby. Perhaps it's a creative pursuit that you've neglected making or expressing yourself. Maybe it's just having the time to do something that inspires you, and put yourself in a scenario where you're going to be inflamed with new ideas. Perhaps it's going to a concert, seeing music, listening to music, something that brings you alive. What is it that brings you joy? Ask yourself that and start to introduce a couple of those moments each day. You can schedule 3 of these a week, or you can schedule 3 today if you like, and just give yourself these moments of self-love. Now, another thing you can do to show self-love is to give yourself a bigger purpose, a bigger responsibility. Ask yourself, what are all the wonderful things I have to offer the world? What are my magical qualities? What do I have to share? What am I on this earth to do? What is it that really drives me in life? See, when we're in a breakup, we can lose perspective, and our world becomes so small. But the more we expand, the more we realize we have so much abundance to give the world, and then there's so much we can do. Suddenly, possibilities open up, and we realize that even the pain we're feeling now is an opportunity to become even bigger, more loving, or empathetically be better than the person before. So take some time to ask yourself, what is my larger purpose? What am I here to do? And you can think of something that you can do today. It could be doing something kind for a stranger. It could be helping someone. It could be sending an email to reach out to someone, to help yourself in your career, or take someone to have some fun. Many, many people in our lives serve many different roles. And that's why our connections are so vital right now, so that we don't become an isolated island, so that we don't push others away, so we could just sink into ourselves and live in our pain on our own. It's important now to reach out, even if you do that in the smallest of ways, even if it's for a 15-minute coffee. Start making those connections again. And if in doubt about anything on this final step of showing yourself self-love, all you must do is ask the question, how would I treat myself if I totally loved and cared about everything that happened to me? Even if you must see yourself as a different person, and think, if I cared about that person more than anyone, What would I get her or him to do today? Would it be just making sure she showered or got out the front door so she got some fresh air? Would it be just taking a walk? Or would it be just enjoying her body and doing something physical with it, like eating? She feels so nourished afterward and feels so energized with it. Start treating yourself as someone you deeply love, and then you'll build up to a place where you won't just be back at neutral. You'll be at a new, higher plane of joy, higher place to fulfillment of happiness and the ability to give to your life. And when you feel that abundance, you won't feel like I'm someone who's going to get lost again in the sea of a relationship where you lose your sense of self or your identity because you need to latch on to a new person. You'll come to a new relationship from a place of strength and happiness where you want to share your beautiful life, not escape from it by meeting someone. Yeah. So remember, this model isn't about giving you a magic button for erasing all your bad feelings. This is about recovering smart, regaining self-trust. And just trust now that with every single day, you are going to take the actions you need. You're not going to ask more than you can give, but with all those small actions, you're going to be lifting yourself to a better and better place than the one you're in now. So as we come to the end of this session, get excited. Get real excited for the new story that you have in this new chapter in front of you, where you have the pen and you can write. You can write it however you want, with all its twists and turns and changes and ups and downs. This is your story to write going forward. So as you rise through energy and feeling energized, feel ready for whatever's ahead. About that self-love to flow through your body that feels the flow through every part of you, from your fingertips to your toes, feeling ready to claim this day. Thank you so much for joining me on this session. You have your prescription now. All you need to do is do the healing. Remember, you're a poet. Go write some poetry. Write some for you, for a change. Thank you.